Is WrestleMania 42 doomed? That's the contention of our discussion today, and my co-host certainly thinks maybe it is. It could be in a little bit of trouble. Welcome to episode 22 of That Sweet Pop. My name is Dion and he is a very concerned Brad Lewis. We are on the road to WrestleMania. We're still 2 months out as we record this, and Mania is starting to take shape, especially after SmackDown on the weekend when we see Cody Rhodes taking the win and qualifying for that Elimination Chamber over Sami Zayn and Mr. All Gas, No Brakes. But the brakes were certainly put on Jacob Fatu at SmackDown. All of this with the backdrop of reports of slow ticket sales at WrestleMania, WWE being somewhat concerned. Discounted tickets are starting to hit the market now. Part of this is the exorbitant ticket prices. Part of this is hesitancy of international visitors to visit the States under this current political climate. I said it, it's true. And part of it is a weaker interest in this year's WrestleMania. Brad, you're one of a number of voices that does have some concerns about how this is starting to shape up. Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah, because I think they're heading in a direction, Dion, that I don't want them to head in. So that's just, SmackDown's really concerned me a little bit, and I feel there's only one way out.
Okay.
For something fresh, and we'll get to that as we move on. But there just seems to be a little bit of a lack of direction. And look, I don't know about you, sometimes we can fantasy book ourselves into a corner or whatever, but I don't know, mate. I am worried. I am very, very worried.
All right. Well, let's crack into it. Is WrestleMania indeed doomed? And let's start off with the World Championship matches, because these are the cornerstones of every Mania, right? I think we can both agree, and the majority of people would agree, the World Heavyweight Championship is going to be the main event of WrestleMania 42. Roman Reigns challenging CM Punk for that World Heavyweight Championship. This is without a doubt the biggest match that WWE could put on at this year's WrestleMania. Feels to me that this is good. This is a lock. Most people are going to be very happy. A lot of people are thinking that Roman Reigns will walk away with the World Heavyweight Championship. We're good with this one, right?
Yeah, Dion, I'm totally good with this one. CM Punk, Roman Reigns, take my money. You know how I feel about this match. I think it's the biggest match they can make. So I have no problems with that, but that's one match. Now, there are some other matches that are looking like they're going to get made that I'm all about. I think if we get Carmelo and Trick Williams, for instance, Dion, that's a great match between two young guys that are going to be a big part of the business moving forward. But my concern is around both women's titles, the main event on SmackDown, and what they're doing with the upper mid-card on SmackDown with the likes of Sami Zayn, Jacob Fatu, and Randy Orton.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about that WWE Championship match. Of course, presently, Drew McIntyre is WWE Champion. There's no reason to believe that's going to change anytime before WrestleMania. And again, on SmackDown, just gone over the weekend. I do reckon. What do you reckon?
No, I do too. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Oh, I thought you had some wild conspiracy. I was like, hit me with it. I haven't heard anything or thought of anything. So yes, we know that Cody has qualified for the Elimination Chamber, which makes 3 that have qualified: Cody, Randy, and LA Knight at this stage. Some of the others that are in the qualification matches, for me, there's no chance they're taking this.
What have we got on Raw, right? Priest. I think Priest is in there. Gunther's in there. Yeah. It's a bit of a mess.
Yeah, hit me with it then. What are you thinking with this WWE Championship, and what do you think the Cody win on SmackDown meant for it?
I think the Cody win on SmackDown signals to me 2 things. First of all, Elimination Chamber, with the way that match played out, we're going to get Sami Zayn, Jacob Fatu, and Drew McIntyre for a title fight. You can see Nick Aldis, who's all about fair play, coming out next week and saying, Drew, you cost Sami and Jacob a shot at the Chamber, therefore I'm booking you in a match with them at Elimination Chamber. So I think that's our title match at Elimination Chamber. It puts Drew's title in peril. And it gives Jacob and Sami something to do. And I believe that Sami and Jacob are headed towards each other at WrestleMania. And I believe Sami Zayn will be unveiled as Jacob Fatu's attacker. So that's where I see that going. This is just me reading between the lines. I could be way off, and I've been way off before, Dion. So this is just what I've taken out of the last 24 hours of watching my love of pro wrestling. I think Cody's winning the chamber now, and I think it's Cody versus Drew at Mania. There are now talks that it's Aleister Black and Randy Orton at WrestleMania. Given the little stuff that's going on between them, I think that's exactly where we're headed, which is disappointing because I feel like Randy versus Cody is the next biggest match they could make behind Roman and CM Punk, and you could have got there by having Cody win a triple threat Elimination Chamber over Drew and having Randy win the Elimination Chamber. So my only hope in all of this, Dion, I'm holding out hope, is that LA Knight wins the Elimination Chamber. We still get Cody. Well, potentially you could do Cody versus Jacob, right? And Sammy moves in a different direction, and we get LA Knight versus Drew. That's the only hope I'm throwing out there. That's the wild card in this is LA Knight, but there have been reports surfacing, I'm sure you've read them as well, that LA Knight versus Brock Lesnar is the direction that they're heading in for WrestleMania, and Gunther Rey Mysterio is the direction they're heading in at WrestleMania. So
what an interesting one. LA Knight is LA Knight and Brock Lesnar. What an interesting matchup that would be.
Yeah, so LA Knight's the wild card. If they're going to pivot, he's their pivot point, right? So if they decide going into Chamber Week that no, this is not where we're going to go, I think LA Knight is the pivot point. But the dominoes or the chess pieces are kind of falling into place, given what a lot of people that are way more connected to the industry than me in the dirt sheets are reporting that's coming out of WWE land, that they now have a direction in sight. We have seen the seeds planted for Aleister Black and Randy Orton the last 2 weeks, with Black mentioning him in 2 promos now, talking about how he wants to see the Orton, the killer of 2009 return. So I think we're heading in that direction. And the only logical thing that makes sense for me from a Jacob Fatu standpoint is you either shoehorn him and we get a fatal 4-way that involves Sami Zayn, Jacob Fatu, Cody, and Drew. But then, mate, what's the point of winning the Elimination Chamber if you then have to beat 3 dudes to win the title, right? Like, from a storyline perspective, that's really piss poor and weak. So Cody wins the Chamber and Sami Zayn turns heel and is revealed as the attacker of Jacob Fatu. That's where I think, after what we've seen, that's where we're going. What about you?
I think this is in some ways complex and in some ways really simple. Cody Rhodes is without a doubt in the top 2 baby faces in the company, right? There is an argument that some people think the heel turn is due. I'm not in that camp. There are some people that think that Cody Rhodes is on a decline of popularity. I don't believe that's the case either.
Only with the nerds on the internet wrestling community, because he got a massive pop tonight on SmackDown. My kids love him. Yeah, so no.
Cody Rhodes being in the WWE Championship match at WrestleMania still makes sense for him in 2026. It really does. Yeah. The issue here is the fact that we've seen Cody versus Drew so many times. Let's also let's pump the brakes that Jacob Fatu doesn't have. Cody Rhodes has not won the Elimination Chamber. Anything and everything is possible. There are reports that there are several rewrites going on around the WrestleMania card because there is concern about these WrestleMania ticket sales. Who knows what's happening? I believe Cody will win the Elimination Chamber, though. I don't believe it's going to be a one-on-one match with Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania, though. It is so far down the track of this story, and surely 3 stages of hell is the exclamation point on that feud. Yet, here we are. Cody and Drew still going at it. Jacob Fatu having a series of interrupted matches and interactions with the 2 of them. Sami Zayn kind of a 4th wheel, but having that story of wanting to get the WWE Championship himself. I think we're heading towards that fatal 4-way at WrestleMania. I think it's interesting what you say about maybe there's the title match at Elimination Chamber. I can see that happening, but I just don't see where Jacob and Sammy then fit in. I mean, does it just all fall away? Because there's angst with Cody as well. These 4 men need to get into a ring.
How do you tell that from Nick Aldis's point of view, right? So I want you to play Nick Aldis for a sec.
Sure.
I think, I don't know.
You know
I
this
think
is going to be an easy answer. I know what's coming. You know this is going to be an easy answer.
Cody wins the chamber. He earns his right to that WrestleMania main event, going through 5 dudes at the chamber, and then he has to beat 3 other guys at WrestleMania. Like, to me, and Nick Aldis is always about fair play. And I guess maybe if Drew keeps skullduggery his way out of these title matches and interfering, then that's probably Nick Aldis is in. But if you're Nick Aldis and I'm the TV audience and I'm watching you, how are you booking that match?
Yeah. The problem that we've got with the Elimination Chamber, I'm going to go a roundabout way of answering this question. The problem that we've got with the Elimination Chamber is we've backed ourselves into a position where we have one-on-one matches for the World Championship and the WWE Championship, and same with the women's titles. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I think WrestleMania matchups should always be a one-on-one for the World Championships. Personal preference. I can also see how easy it would be for Jacob and Sammy to be injected into this match. Again, it just takes one promo. It takes one brawl. It takes one pissed off GM to say, do you know what? If you guys got so much angst, I'm putting all 4 of you in a fatal 4-way match at WrestleMania. Crowd pops. We continue telling the story. We build the excitement about it all, and we're off to the races. It's not difficult to get there. It's not like we're absolutely set in stone with this whole Elimination Chamber number 1 contenders gimmick. And it's quite a new thing, this whole Elimination Chamber. You win and then you go into the world title. Again, I think they've backed themselves into a little bit of a corner with it, but there are so many ways of getting out of it. And I genuinely think we're heading to that fatal 4-way. It makes no sense to me to be telling this story this close to Mania, albeit we're 2 months out, and for those two to not be involved.
I got one caveat to that.
Sure.
When do you reveal the attacker of Jacob Fatu? Because it's one of those 3 guys, right? It has to be. It's Cody, Drew, or Sammy, maybe Orton, but I highly doubt it.
Yeah.
When do you make that reveal?
Well, that could all be up in the air. Maybe the reveal is made during the main event of WrestleMania. If it is Randy, does Randy come running down the ramp? I don't know. They could head in a million different directions that would probably be somewhat happy with. I think if they do go with this one-on-one match, though, of Drew versus Cody, how do you top 3 stages of hell, and how do you keep people invested and interested? I don't know if Hell in a Cell is big enough for us to do that. I don't know how much more angst we could get in the storyline for the one-on-one to work. Look, on paper, it's a great matchup. But again, we've seen it so many times. We need something fresh at WrestleMania. And what about the crowd? The droves of people that want to see the youth come up. Again, you know how we feel about this. Fantastic if you can give them an opportunity, but they've got to work their way up. They've got to build. They've got to get over with these audiences. These things take time. We could be heading into a WrestleMania where we've got everyone over 40 in the 2 championship matches. How old's Cody?
Okay, so I don't hate the fatal 4-way, but you have to make it different. So with that being said, would you go WrestleMania 2000 style where it's elimination and then you have a one-on-one match at the end potentially, or do you just go a normal fatal 4-way and maybe you can have, I mean, that way any result's possible, right? Because anyone can win, and maybe that's how you sneak Sami Zayn his first world title is doesn't beat the champ, gets that Daniel Bryan WrestleMania 30 moment in the closing stages of night 1 of WrestleMania. But like if you're booking the fatal 4-way, do you have a creative direction that you foresee, like where they're going to where this game is going to end?
I like a fatal 4-way elimination. Yeah, I really do. I think that does add a uniqueness to it. Yeah. Do you think if we do go to this fatal 4-way, do you feel that Sammy is the guy?
I kind of feel that it makes the most sense. Cody doesn't need the title. Drew does. So I think I'm either booking Drew to overcome all the odds ultimately and pins Cody Rhodes for the title. It's too early for Jacob. There's too many stories to be told around him, and I don't think this is the right time for him. I actually think that maybe Roman Reigns might be the right person for Jacob Fatu to usurp when it comes to winning a world title down the line. Not that Jacob wouldn't be an awesome world champion, because I think he would, right? Like, you could absolutely do it. You did it with Yokozuna, you did it with Diesel, you've done it in the past with Brock Lesnar, with Randy Orton. Young guys have won the title and done a very, very good job. Yeah. But I don't know about you, it just doesn't feel like the right time for Jacob. I think we're close, Dion. We're close, but it doesn't feel like the right time. It feels like Drew's time and Sammy's time.
It feels like Drew's time. I mean, Drew just has to leave WrestleMania as WWE champion. If he drops it, and again, we're 2 months away, that's still somewhat transitional champion territory, which is unfair on Drew, I think. Serves no purpose to the story that's been told of him fighting for so long to get to this point, especially after that World Heavyweight Championship screw job by CM Punk back at WrestleMania 40. So I think either way, we are going to see Drew leave WrestleMania 42 as the champion. My question back to you is this. What makes this matchup of Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre the all being doom of WrestleMania 42? Does the Fatal 4-Way change everything? Does that now put us in a position of, well, actually, what a great matchup this is? Or do we need LA Knight to win the chamber?
Well, that's what I want, right? If you're looking for fresh and you're putting up a result that is hard to predict, it's LA Knight versus Drew McIntyre. You're going to give yourself 5 weeks to tell that storyline. I think that's totally fine. You immediately separate LA Knight from the Vision storyline, and he's been stuck in that Vision vortex pretty much the entirety of 2025 into 2026. And then you can pivot into a Cody Rhodes, Sammy, Fatu triple threat, or just have Cody and Jacob and Sammy goes in a completely different direction that hasn't been uncovered yet. Hell, I wouldn't have a problem with Sammy versus Brock. Like, there's an absolute story you can tell there. Like, you could. I don't think that's probably where they're going. But the only thing that handbrakes me into believing truly that they're going to pull the trigger on LA Knight is, what do you do with everybody else?
Yeah.
And with the chess pieces, as I said, that they've been playing in the last couple of weeks, it seems to me the creative vision is either Cody and Drew, or we're getting this Fatal 4-Way. LA Knight and Brock, Gunther, Rey Mysterio, Randy, and Aleister Black. And that seems to be where they're going. And I think Carmelo and Trick in terms of a US title, and I guess we're going to get some resolution around what's happening with Dom. But yeah, like that. I don't know how they make the chess pieces fall. And Dion, we haven't even talked about what the hell are they going to do with the Vision if LA Knight's out of that picture, because, like, the Vision have gone from everything around WrestleMania centered around what are they going to do with Bron Breakker to now, is it Logan Paul versus Bad Bunny? Is that all they have?
Yeah. Let's get into the Vision a little bit later. I want to have a bit of a chat with you about where that may be going. Why don't we move now to the women's matches? So I know you've got some concerns there. This Elimination Chamber match coming up now. We've got Rhea, who has qualified. We've got Alexa Bliss and Tiffany Stratton. So the three of them, I'm starting to think already there can't be any bigger win than Rhea Ripley taking this Elimination Chamber, and seeing Rhea versus Jade would be fantastic. But then what does that do for the tag team titles? And we don't know where Liv Morgan's going either way. Again, so much water to go under the bridge. What are your thoughts? Where do you think we may be going? What are your concerns with the women's world title matches?
So I'm extremely excited about Liv Morgan getting a WrestleMania moment. Like, that is awesome. I am not buying into Liv versus Stephanie as the women's title match. Like, you have to have Raquel involved in that. So, and I don't want this to become WrestleMania 2000 where we have multi-person match after multi-person match. But that triple threat match, if you can tell the story in the next few weeks, and I don't know if you do some sort of tag match at Elimination Chamber where it's maybe Stephanie and Jade versus Liv and Raquel, like, I don't hate that. Like, as Liv announces that after this match, I'm going to make my decision. And then you have friction between her and Raquel. And then you somehow shoehorn Raquel into this match. Either she beats Stephanie for the title and it becomes Liv and Raquel, or you make it a triple threat. So that to me is a marquee match. Liv, Raquel, Stephanie, I'm here for, or just Liv and Raquel by themselves. And I think you could have helped with that story if you'd given Raquel the title win a couple of weeks ago. But hey, they chose not to. Now, 3 more spots to be filled on this Elimination Chamber. We know Charlotte's in action next week. There's some Io's probably going to win that triple threat match on Raw. I think if you can have Io involved in that match, then you have a storyline intertwined around Rhea. If you have Charlotte in that match, you have an intertwined story around Alexa and Charlotte. So there's some cool stories you can tell within there. You have Tiffany, and who is going to be the 6th person? And if it's not Bianca Belair, then I think Tiffany Stratton's winning the Elimination Chamber, and it's going to be Tiffany versus Jade, which again is fatigue because they've wrestled twice on PLEs already, right? So does Tiffany deserve a marquee match? Absolutely. But out of those Elimination Chamber entries, yes, Rhea excites me, but they've told such a big story around these tag titles that I think we're heading into some sort of big tag women's match. The Bella Twins will be involved. And I think you have to have Rhea and Io involved to keep that title with the credibility that's got. So are we heading, God forbid, for another triple threat? Which, because isn't Charlotte Jade in terms of a marquee women's match? They've had little interactions. Like, I feel Charlotte's the biggest name you could give Jade, unless if Bianca Belair's coming back, then lock that in. That is your WrestleMania women's, and I have no problem with that. That's a big match, Dion.
Yeah.
And if that's the ultimate, if that's where we're going, then great. If not, again, I don't know what they're doing. So I don't want to see Charlotte, Alexa, and Jade. I want to see Charlotte and Alexa, you know, or they're involved in the tag match. Yes, Rhea makes sense as well, but you've told we've had such a long storyline around these tag titles that I feel like Rhea and Io are destined to be in that. So
and I can't see her doing double duty. There's no way we'll see Rhea doing that.
So I mean, it's Bianca or Tiff. And we're going to find that out in the next week. I imagine if Bianca's going to come back, it's going to be as some sort of mystery opponent next week on SmackDown. But so what have we got? 3 spots filled. Charlotte's probably going to be the 5th one. I think Io's going to be the 4th one on Raw, and then we're down to maybe they'll have a last chance one, and Bianca's like some sort of surprise entry. I hope that's the case. I truly, truly do.
Yeah, it really feels like the Women's WWE Championship is the more interesting prospect of the women's titles because Jade is such an attraction. She's just surpassed 100 days holding the women's championship
with 1 defense.
How many title defenses? 1, yeah.
Gorilla Monsoon would be turning in the grave. You're supposed to defend the title every 30 days. Every 30 days, you're supposed to defend the title.
Yeah. So Jade and Bianca would be huge. Who knows what's happening with Bianca? Again, Jade and Rhea, I think that's something that you can see it on a poster right now. That would be an incredible matchup. But this whole tag team scenario puts pay to that. I do wonder if Alexa could come out on top. I don't know if
I'm down for that.
I don't know if Alexa and Jade is big enough. I know that
you can tell
weird.
That story though. I don't hate that. And you can have Charlotte maybe win the women's battle royal the night before or something like that. Like, she doesn't have to be on WrestleMania, and she can become a big part of the story with Jade, where you can plant little seeds around jealousy and, I know I could beat Jade, but we all know, Alexa, you probably can't. But,
But that's also the moment, isn't it? That's
correct.
The moment for Charlotte to come in, and assuming she's going to be the antagonist of this surely impending split.
I like that storyline. If it's not, and are you excited by Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill again?
No.
Doesn't move it for me, man. But
No.
But again, that's what the dirt sheets, and we know the dirt sheets are wrong half the time. And there was a great example of that this week where Dave Meltzer flat out lied about WB Warner Brothers Discovery pulling Brody King off Dynamite and got an hour and a half later, an actual real journalist called Sean Ross Sapp did some journalism and discovered that wasn't the case. So we know the dirt sheets tell fibs, but it sounds like Tiffany Jade is the direction. There has been some little seeds thrown out around Tiffany and Chelsea. So if Chelsea's good to go, I don't hate that for a match as well. And I have been a proponent, and I don't know about you, and I feel like this year is the year to do it. Like, why don't the women get their own? Last year we had Naomi and Jade, right, which was a standalone non-title match feud, which I like. Why can't we have multiple women's matches that involve heat and storyline? Yeah. Like Tiffany's Chelsea would be a great match. Like,
Yeah.
even if it's on the prelims, like, but yeah, I don't. Tiffany versus Jade does not move the needle for me. And if SmackDown is running into Mania, Dion, with Drew versus Cody and Tiffany versus Jade, that's a 9-month long storyline, and that's not what WrestleMania is about in multiple matches. Multiple matches.
Yeah, unless you're Cody Rhodes and we tell a 2-year storyline, but that was very special.
That's different.
It was very special.
That's different. I mean, they've both been going since WrestlePalooza.
Yeah,
it's a long time, man.
Yeah, look, you know me, Brad. Always the optimist. Far more often than not, WrestleMania is an incredible showcase, and it feels to me like it's one of the few times that we, as fans, do a better job of suspending disbelief. Because at the moment we're watching SmackDown and we are analyzing booking. We want this person to win because we see this. We want this to happen in the future. It'll be a mistake if this person gets over. That's not a great place for us to be as fans, but that's just the reality of where we're at today.
And because me and you have a wrestling podcast, we kind of have to talk about them that way.
Well, we do, but everyone is that way, Brad. Everyone looks at wrestling this way now. They talk about this being the wrong decision. This person shouldn't have been put over because they need to be heading in this direction. We don't see them as standalone sporting contests like we did in the 80s. But come WrestleMania, I feel like we're better at that. We get pulled into the moment. Now, some of that is because WWE do a great job of wrapping story around these things. So, to be fair to them, whether you think they're doing a terrible job at booking at the moment, whether you think Triple H is shitting the bed when it comes to building talent, putting the wrong people over, they do kind of know what they're doing. Wrap story around it, and a Tiffany versus Jade can become new again. It still doesn't excite me, but let's give them a bit of credit. They can do it.
And for everyone that comes out and says he can't build stars, Trick Williams, anyone? And look, I know Shawn Michaels had a lot to do with the elevation of Trick Williams, but the initial seeds of Trick were certainly sown by Triple H, right? So, Dion, every time that dude comes out now, I just smell WrestleMania main eventer, world champion. His promo game at this point of his career is like Randy Orton-like, right? Where Orton out the box was just a great promo. It took John Cena a long time. Like Jericho, Orton, those guys that out the bat have been just great promos. He's playing this role of, he's really a heel, but he also plays up to the crowd. And so that they're doing that right. They are doing Trick Williams right. So kudos to them for that. And I've thrown it out there today already. Do you think Trick versus Mello is where they need to go when it comes to the US title in a simple one-on-one match without Elor Dragunov, without The Miz, without Matt Cardona, without Apollo Crews? Like, we just need Trick versus Carmelo.
Yeah, I think that is the play. What is interesting is what happens to the US title challenge, which of course isn't something that automatically comes along with being the US championship holder. But it doesn't feel like Trick Williams would be the kind of guy that would come out every week and say, I'm happy to take on all comers. Although, because he is this cocky, arrogant heel, maybe he does. It would be a good play. He's only been in the main roster for a couple of months, but I think the US championship this early in his career, I think that would be a good move. And how incredible for these two to be on the WrestleMania stage just 2 or 3 years earlier. They were doing the main event of NXT of WrestleMania weekend, to be at the big stage. How cool.
Do you put him in the chamber? So next week we've got Trick, Mello, and name escapes me.
I can see him in the chamber.
Priest, Trick, Mello, Priest.
Yeah.
So the winner of that goes in, and we've got Gunther and a couple of other guys on Raw. I imagine Javon Evans, I think, is one. Yep. So I think it probably makes sense for star power you put Gunther in there. But yeah, although then he has to take a pinfall at some point, right? So maybe that won't make sense. But yeah, do you put Trick in? You have Trick win next week, and he's the fifth guy into the chamber.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I like Trick over, say, a Carmelo for the chamber. Yeah, I really do.
But they're doing a great job with Mello. They're doing a great job with Mello as well. Like, he's getting better reactions, and also positive. Again, they're doing a good job with this because they're just having her wrestle. Julia is starting to get better reactions when she comes out. So they are slowly but surely building up these people that are clearly Triple H favorites. I think Mello 6 months ago was an afterthought. Now he's putting on banger after banger after banger. And that 10-man tag on SmackDown, full credit to the 10 guy. That was a great match. Really enjoyed it. The MFTs don't excite me in any way, but I thought that was a really, really good match.
Now, we've also got Becky versus AJ coming up at Elimination Chamber. Very interesting that this is happening pre-WrestleMania. Still feels like maybe that will lead into something on WrestleMania night, but that mustn't be a rematch for a singles capacity. Be a little bit strange.
It's going to have Natty in it.
You think it'll be a three-way?
This is WrestleMania 2000 all over again. Look, they had Natty eliminate Becky at the Rumble. Maxine Dupree was involved as well. She does not need to be in a match because AJ, Natty, Becky is a pretty big match, right? Like you've got three, almost covering the last three generations of the women's division, right? So I think that's a pretty big match, and I think Becky gets the win at Elimination Chamber, even though it's in AJ's hometown. Skullduggery will be involved, no doubt, and maybe even Natty's involved in the finish. And then you head towards a triple threat match, which would be a great match. And I think you have Natty walk out as the Intercontinental Champion because you need to build her now and make her a genuine threat. Because, I'm an MMA fan. Natty is a badass. She does know combat sports. She trains with Josh Barnett, who's a former UFC heavyweight champion. He's a bad dude, a real bad dude, guys. A great fighter. You can really, her getting her hand raised over AJ and Becky would be huge at Mania. So, look, again, like I said, I don't want this to be WrestleMania 2000, but I have no issue with the story you can tell around Natty, AJ, and Becky heading into Mania. I think that's a great match that could co-main event on night one, for instance.
Talking about all these, trying to get these great talents into a WrestleMania match, how far away are we from having night 3 of WrestleMania?
Where are you at? Last 2 years he's sit at 6 and 7 in terms 6-7 as my son says. But 6 matches, 7 matches. With the cards that we came up with, we were sitting at around 8 or 9 per night, right? What do you think? We'll obviously get an Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal the night before, which will shoehorn everyone in, but. Yeah, I think 7 on both nights is probably the right sort of area. 14 across 2. Where are you at with that?
Yeah, I wouldn't hate a few more. I wouldn't mind an 8 or a 9 and shorter matches. Not everything needs to go 20 or 30 minutes at WrestleMania. There's only a limited amount of spots, aren't they? So maybe that's one way that you can, as you say, shoehorn more people into it. But I really do like the 2-night WrestleMania, though. Yeah, it feels like it's impossible for us to go back to a single night of Mania now. The genie is out of the bottle. The genie is out of the bottle.
And I've heard reports that the Rumble next year will be 2 nights, Dion. So I think we're heading into that direction. And then Survivor Series. SummerSlam's already been 2 nights, right? Like last year. So I think we're heading into those big 4 becoming 2-night events very, very soon.
Yeah.
All of them.
Well, look, in closing, WrestleMania is not doomed. We're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. And what I do love about WrestleMania is no matter what puzzle pieces are put together by those at the top of the chain, these talents really do everything they can to make their match the best of the night. Doesn't always come off. More often than not, we see some of the best matches of the year from a WWE perspective over this weekend. So, I'm still fizzing for WrestleMania. We will know more answers in the next couple of weeks. We will still have some questions, but we're about 2 months away. There's plenty of time to wrap story around some of these matches. So, just take a breath.
You're way more patient than me, eh? That's one thing I've learned in the last year is that I love a story being told out, but I am a worrywart when it comes to my pro wrestling, and maybe I just need to chill.
It's because we're passionate. Everyone's passionate, right? Yeah. Just you want the best of the best, and it's understandable. Now, something we do need to get onto is the vision. Let's take a bit of a break. I want to come back, chat about where we think we could be going with the vision, hey? Let's do that. All right, we'll be right back after this.
Hey, this is Brendan Vink, and you're listening to That Sweet Pop.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Hey, Brad, before we do get into this chat about the vision, very excited. WrestleMania, which is not doomed, something I will be attending. And I got my combo tickets to Raw and SmackDown. SmackDown before Mania, the Raw after.
What's the start time?
4:30 p.m. There.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
As it was last year. What is interesting is for the first time that I can remember since these combo tickets went on sale, it is just Raw and SmackDown. NXT isn't there, which worked out perfectly for me because I was going to skip NXT if I'm honest with you. It is always interesting with these West Coast WrestleManias because NXT begins at 10 a.m. And it's a long day. It's kind of cool though. It's a very good curtain raiser. Nothing's really come out about NXT that I'm aware of as to why it's not there. TNA Unbreakable took place in Las Vegas last year, which I popped along to, which was awesome. So I'm starting to think maybe we could be heading to a TNA NXT supercard on WrestleMania weekend. Have you heard anything about this?
Haven't. You'd probably chuck a AAA in there as well and do some sort of supercard. I mean, Stand and Deliver's become a pretty big part of Mania weekend. Maybe they do a Stand and Deliver TV special on the Tuesday US time before Mania because that's become their WrestleMania, right? For the NXT brand is Stand and Deliver. I can't see them removing that brand, so you could definitely pump it up and drop a big TV rating and have a Stand and Deliver TV event. I wouldn't be surprised if we get some sort of super card that involves AAA, NXT and TNA. That would make a lot of sense. You could get some big matches on there. I think, have you seen, and full credit to TNA, they are the only wrestling show that I can remember that have increased their weekly audience every single week from their debut. So they've gone from 191,000 US viewers for week one, which is below par. They're trending towards 300, which is like AEW Collision numbers. And I've watched the last couple of episodes. They're telling good stories, man. Like the Steve Macklin story is really cool. Looks like he's going to be a challenger for Mike Santana, despite the fact that he hasn't got a job because he picked the fired briefcase in the Feast or Fired thing. Trey Miguel, who's got a lot of momentum around him after being hired and then fired by AEW within 24 hours, has just won a title over there. Santino Morella's daughter just won the Knockouts title. Their television's been really, really good, man. And I like it, and I think NXT's helped that. So congratulations to them because, it's very hard to pick up audience in American television after your debut, and they've already grown by 150,000 within the first month. And I think that's really encouraging signs. So, definitely I feel like we might get a big event. Who knows, Dion? Maybe AJ Styles might make a special appearance for TNA.
No, he can't. He retired. He retired, Brad. You might not remember this. It was 2 weeks ago. A lot's happened since then.
It has.
It has. All right. The Vision.
Oh, God.
These poor buggers, man. These poor guys.
Snake bitten.
Literally. So this is certainly a case of bad luck and not bad management. The Vision, who this time, well, not quite this time last year, but earlier in 2025, looked like they were going to be the faction of WWE. They were going to be this era's version of the NWO or the Horsemen or whatever.
Evolution,
very much the Revolution, and it hasn't quite come off because of these injuries, right? Seth Rollins is out now. Bron Breakker is out with a hernia. Breakker, by the way, I understand is maybe a 10-week recovery period, which coincides nicely with WrestleMania. I think that could be a little bit optimistic, though, in terms of can he be ring ready. I don't know if he's able to push weights anytime soon or run the ropes or what the case may be. But we're sticking with this masked man situation. The masked man was not Logan Paul on Raw. Logan Paul's someone we didn't mention a couple of weeks ago. I don't think we talked at length, but it became one of the top players that could have been underneath that mask. I still, have no idea who it could be. But worse, I have no idea what they can do with the Vision now. Do you have any ideas what we can do with these guys? Because it's just not as interesting without Breakker, though, we're talking about the Masked Man. They do have Heyman. What does their WrestleMania season look like?
The latest rumor is that the man in the mask is Bad Bunny. So take that for what you will. And it's the reports are that we're heading to a Bad Bunny Logan Paul match at Mania, which will be a great match. They get the right person producing that match. I'm sure it'll be awesome, right? Like Logan Paul doesn't have bad matches, and Bad Bunny, probably the best celebrity wrestler in terms of picking it up within seconds that we've ever seen. So, I mean, his match with Damian Priest was a 5-star match. So that's Logan Paul taken care of. So, and look, if the Masked Man is Bad Bunny, what wrestling fans need to remember, he is the biggest music star on the planet. So if you're not a big wrestling, like my kids know who Bad Bunny is before he was in pro wrestling.
Really?
So yeah. So he you're going to get a pop if it's Bad Bunny under the mask, and that might be a way that they end up going with this because, like we've talked about, this is snake bitten. I now do not put Seth on Mania. I hold that back. Especially if you can somehow make Bad Bunny the Masked Man. What that means for Austin Theory and Bronson Reed and Paul Heyman, I have no idea, man. Bronson has won the Andre in the past, so maybe he gets put into that. Like, could you get Bronson and Obafemi? Maybe. Maybe you could do something around a handicap match with Obafemi versus Austin Theory and Bronson Reed. Like, could you do that? You could do that. But like Paul Heyman's going to almost be an afterthought at this WrestleMania. Like, it seems like if Logan Paul Bad Bunny is the marquee match out of the Vision, the only saving grace for this is probably Brock Lesnar, who does Paul Heyman's bidding. And as I said at the top of the show, that seems to be where they're saying LA Knight is headed towards a Brock Lesnar match. So, LA Knight has caused Paul Heyman headaches in the last couple of weeks. I guess they could blame the Bron Breakker injury on LA Knight through the hernia or whatever it is. So, maybe Brock Lesnar comes back and saves the vision, saves Paul Heyman's vision. And then you head towards something with Bron and Brock and Seth Rollins post-Mania. So I don't know about you. Look, I'm just spitballing here, man. I'm literally creating ideas in my head as I talk because I have kind of lost all interest in the storyline because Bron Breakker was the interesting part of the storyline.
I agree. I completely agree. Albeit the three remaining talents are very talented.
Yes.
They really are, but you need that keystone, that one, the guy that is the main event in there, and they're just lacking it at the moment. That's a very interesting thought about Brock Lesnar being involved. I can see that being worked in somehow. Difficult to see Brock Lesnar siding with allies, but maybe he's not really siding with them. He's just siding with Paul, right? Interesting times. Interesting times. They've had to pivot on a number of occasions. We're led to believe. Certainly they've had to pivot because of injury, and I'm talking about the bigger picture here, not just the Vision, but this whole WrestleMania card as we've been discussing. They've got these reports coming out that they've had to pivot again because of the card being potentially lackluster and causing these ticket sales, even though there's only one officially announced match. So all of these people in the IWC, us included, who are somewhat worried about WrestleMania, again, I said to calm our tits, I kind of hope that in the writing room of WWE, these guys see the angst around and they just laugh and they're like, these guys, they've got no idea what's coming. Boys, it's under control.
And I'm going to throw a fact bomb. I want to throw a fact bomb at you, Dion, as we head to the back end of this podcast. They've sold over 40,000 tickets for both nights of Mania. It's not a crisis. This time last year, they were sitting at about 51,000. I think they ended at about 62, 63 for both nights. You go back to a venue second year straight, you're always going to be under. I mean, All In is the perfect example. 90,000 the first year, 40,000 the second year. Half the audience turned up for year two. If they can get 50 to 55,000 people in, I'm sure they'll be stoked. And if they can tell a couple of compelling storylines, you might get another 3,000 or 4,000. So
in this economy.
Yeah, well, maybe. And they're running a special this weekend in the US, a 25% off special. I'm sure makes Dion McCracken very happy.
Would have made me very happy 6 months ago, my friend.
Correct.
not today.
So I imagine there'll be a boost in sales. And in the last 6 weeks of sales last year, they sold a combined 20,000 tickets for both nights. So I don't think we're going to have an issue, Dion. Like, I think they're still going to get 55,000 minimum, which is still going to make for a great atmosphere. I think last year it looked like it was packed at 61, 62. So I'd imagine you can still make it look pretty packed at 55, 56.
But look, it's not just injuries and a potential soft card that they've got to worry about in terms of selling tickets. Tourism in Vegas is down. It's down
Yes.
bigly. A lot of that is because Canadians aren't traveling as much. There are concerns over the political climate in the States. There are a lot of people scared of traveling there. So they have all of this working against them as well, which is completely out of their control. But look, I do think you're right. We will end up having a packed house at WrestleMania. We always do. It's going to be a great show. People will love it. People will hate it. They will debate it for the ages. That's WrestleMania. That's WrestleMania. Hey, also this weekend, just as we go to close, AEW are in Australia. They are, as we record this, still there. Grand Slam Australia was on Saturday night this past weekend. House Rules was on the Sunday. I'm going to watch Grand Slam straight after we record this. I didn't get an opportunity to watch it, but by all accounts, a pretty tremendous show. I live a very busy life, Brad Lewis. A very busy life. You do too. I don't watch as much AEW as I would like. So I'm not a big one for New Year's resolutions, but my 2026 is I want to squeeze more AEW into my life, and it feels like a good time to start picking it up again. I do like what AEW are doing at the moment. MJF is the guy. He's compelling. I really like Kyle Fletcher, his continued ascent. Are you as optimistic as I about AEW in 2026 and moving forward?
Yeah, sure. And what made WWE pull finger was AEW being hot from the moment that they signed Daniel Bryan and Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole on the same night, right? And then AEW went on a massive hot streak of awesome storytelling. CM Punk was involved as well. So pretty much from that moment until the moment CM Punk walked out on the company, AEW was far and above the best wrestling company on the planet. They're heading that way again. And Tony Khan is just is removing the bollocks from his creative and just putting on good matches and keeping it real simple. Look, there's some cringe stuff on there still. I find Ricochet's character really cringe. Like it's just he's a terrible promo, and I just can't get him behind them. But they're telling this multiple challenger storyline at the moment where you've literally got 7 or 8 dudes going after MJF's title. They're all baby faces, which makes it kind of cool as well. And Tommaso Ciampa has been unbelievably good since he's shown up. His match with Kyle Fletcher on Thursday New Zealand time was probably, it was his best match since Black and Gold NXT. It was a tremendous match. Kyle Fletcher is the future of the business. His promos coming along really well. He's great bell to bell. He's a mix between Randy Orton and Will Ospreay, I think you could probably say, in terms of his in-ring style. Look, not a big fan of Hangman Page, but he does what he does. Moxley's there as well. Samoa Joe's involved in that storyline. Swerve's involved in that storyline, which is cool. So they've got a multiple challenger storyline, which I think is going really well. Brody King has been elevated big time. So they're doing great. Tony Khan's keeping it simple, and they just need to keep doing what they're doing. There's a potential massive bottleneck coming up for them from a television rights perspective if the Netflix deal goes through with Warner Brothers, because I can't see Netflix paying for 2 wrestling shows. So that broadcast deal may go, and then there's not a lot of other suitors out there, because I'll remind punters that TKO owns the UFC and WWE. The UFC are on 3 different networks in the US. WWE is on 3 different networks in the US. There's not a lot of places outside of Sony or Amazon that AEW can go. So that's a problem for later down the road. But they keep putting on the television they're putting on at the moment, and I'm sure there'll be people and companies and streaming services that'll want to pick it up, because the last month has been excellent.
All right, folks, if you want to find out a little bit more about us, please head along to our website, www.thatsweetpop.com. Episodes drop every week right here on YouTube, or you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube Music, or catch us on socials on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. All right, how are you feeling after that chat? You a little bit calmer? Still got a little bit of anxiety?
I've decompressed nicely.
Go draw a nice warm bath, light a candle, and just think of 20 triple threat and fatal 4-way matches. How wonderful.
WrestleMania 2000 all over again. It's going to happen.
All right, folks, thank you so much for spending your time with us. And let's just do something a little bit different next week, Brad. Let's take a break from the wrestling news. How about we do let's
cricket?
pick maybe not cricket.
Okay.
But maybe we pick 4 or 5 WrestleMania main events, our favorites, the ones that meant the most to us, the greatest match, whatever that looks like. Let's talk about it during the week. Let's do it this week. Cool.
Sounds like a plan.
Beautiful. All right, and until then, folks, have a good one.